Thank you. Good evening and welcome to the Warren City School District Board of Education meeting. This evening, this is a special meeting. Today is Thursday, February the 18th, 2021, and the time is 6:34 p.m. This meeting is being broadcast via WSCN on Zoom with live streaming available at warrencityschools.org. This meeting is a special meeting of the Warren City Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business, and it is not to be considered a public community meeting. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and if everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, so we are called to order, and if we could please have a roll call.
Mr. Fowley?
Here.
Mrs. Patterson?
Here.
Mrs. Shannon?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Nation.
Present.
Under God.
Mrs. Lamperos?
Here. Everyone is present and accounted for. I just heard some feedback. Is that Frank? Are we okay? Okay, thank you. All right. Agenda item number 3, executive session. We have no need to move into that this evening, so we'll move right along into communications, item number 4, and that would be Mr. Shiro.
2 communications this evening. The first communication I'd like to share is that we were called on Monday that Akron Children's Hospital, our partner in vaccinating our staff, had some vaccine that they needed to get moving this week. And so we successfully vaccinated 112 employees on Wednesday morning here at the Board of Education office. Went very smoothly. We had put plans into place all Monday and all Tuesday so that we can facilitate it. And so we are grateful to do that. And we did that in an hour and a half time. We have a system down pat where the nurses are vaccinating 25 individuals every 20 minutes, 75 people an hour. So our vaccination clinic that was scheduled will still take place on Friday, the 26th. It's going to be at Warren G. Harding High School, where another 425 staff members are going to be vaccinated, probably in about 5-6 hours time. So we are scheduling that. With our staff members, we're very excited to have over 550 staff members, receiving the vaccine. It was super well received. We're excited for this. There's going to be a modification to school next week with our B cohort students. They will go on Wednesday and Thursday instead of on Thursday and Friday. Basically, Wednesday becomes Friday and Friday becomes Wednesday for our students in B. Students in cohort A, there's no change. Second communication is we are looking at options to bring students back to school in a more frequent than the hybrid model. Currently, the guidance from the American Association for Pediatrics says that students in grades K through 5 can be as close as 3 feet together with masking and other mitigating factors. And we are looking into that option. We're also looking into what options are available for students beyond grade 5. Our goal is to increase student participation in their education on site as safe and healthy to do so, and as appropriate. So we do have active plans in place that we are evaluating along the way, working with our local health officials, as always in our plans. So we do have ideas of where we're going with this and the timeframes. Our administrative team have been working through these. But given the fact that our first round of vaccinations fell the 4th week of 4 weeks, our plans were pushed off. I understand there's some folks that are saying, hey, is Warren City going back on March 1st? We never said we were going back on March 1st. My communication to family said we hope to bring more students back as early as March. And so our goal would be still to do that if it's appropriate and healthy and safe to do so. The numbers are starting to be more supportive towards our goal, but the vaccination of our staff is also very important to us. So we are evaluating all of those means and methods, and we will continue to strive for that being our goal as soon as possible. Again, the governor's comments on being in person on March 1st was already what we were doing. A hybrid model qualifies. That is very specific to districts that are full online remote with no in-person education. So we meet that prerequisite that he set forth for vaccination without any kind of concern. And so that March 1st deadline put by the governor did not apply to us. When he put that out, we were already back in full hybrid teaching for our students. So if there's no questions with that, that'll conclude my communications for this evening.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Mr. Shiro? Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to item number 5, and that's adoption of the agenda. If I may have a motion, please.
I move.
Wow.
Second, I'll second.
Okay, Karen, did you get that?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and call the roll.
Mr. Fowley,
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson,
Yes.
Mrs. Shannon,
Yes.
Mr. Walker, Mr. Walker,
There.
Julian's gone from my screen.
Hold on, let me
Yeah.
see.
I'm sorry, I thought I pressed unmute.
There he is.
okay, and Mrs. Lamperos.
Yes, and the motion carries. All right, agenda item number 6, the treasurer's report. Mrs. Scortino.
I don't have anything for you this evening.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to agenda item number 7, and that's the superintendent's report. Mr. Shiro.
Great, thank you, Mrs. Lamperos. I'd like to turn the superintendent's report over to John Lacey, Executive Director of Business Operations for the Warren City School District, to talk to the board about updates with the Willard roofing project, status and update. Mr. Lacey?
Okay, thanks, Steve. Yeah, as you have in your packets, and you'll see shortly, we have some change orders, numbered 6, 7, and 8, that were requested part of this project. The first 2 change orders were to address areas of where the ventilation needed to be corrected. That was kind of similar to what was done originally by Adolph Johnson, but some more areas were identified by Boak as they were going through the project. This area, Michelle can touch base, is closer to where the gymnasium is that you'll see on your report. The second, and then the last item is for an allowance of up to $413,000 for potential deck replacement that for the sections that can still be completed. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Michelle and Todd Fabian from Boak and Sons to kind of, and Frank, you can go ahead and start the presentation of the PowerPoint at this time.
All right, thank you, and I'm happy to be here to discuss the issues that we've encountered so far at the Willard Elementary School while Boak has been going through their repair work. If we could have our next slide, please. So this is our overall plan. In green, we see the areas that Boak has already completed, and those are areas that have a typical attic construction. The areas in blue are already completed, and they have what we call a vented nail base construction. The area in purple is not yet completed and is the area that we are looking at the change order for. And then areas in white are not part of the contract. They're either courtyards or flat roof areas that are not part of this scope of work. May I have the next slide, please? So when we were, when Philip Sekanic and then we had DeSalvo Construction with us, were looking at the project initially without doing any destructive testing, all we could kind of see was the underside of the deck. And you see in these photos, we see a lot of nice shiny deck. There were some areas that showed a little bit of drips and maybe some, you know, what we determined to be minor rusting, but nothing that we were seeing from the underside that gave rise to the amount of rust we were seeing from the top side. At the bottom, you see there's a little key plan showing sort of the area where these particular photographs were taken. And I will also point out that access into the attic was quite difficult because the where the insulation is, the drywall that forms that is about 6 feet or more above where the ceiling tiles are. So you have to kind of open up an area within ceiling tiles and then climb up another 6 or more feet to get up to the level where we start to get up into the attic space. So it was quite difficult to get up in there. There were also not walkways or hatches to move between various parts of the attic. So that was also another challenge in investigating what was going on with the existing conditions. May I have the next slide, please? In some areas, so these photos are taken over in the area that's yet to be completed. We did observe some rusting from the underside, but we see mostly nice shiny silver deck. So again, we weren't really prepared for the extent of what we would see when we started doing the opening up the roof. And even in an area where in classroom 225, there were known, hey, these ceiling tiles keep getting wet, these ceiling tiles keep getting wet, these ceiling tiles keep getting wet. When we looked up, you can see in that picture there with the red circle, the deck looks nice and shiny and silver, but yet when we opened up the top, the right-hand side is over top of classroom 225. You see how bad the deck was rusted in that area. And then these are some more construction photos as we were going through. I've numbered the photos. Some of the close-up shots, I wasn't able to quite determine where they were taken, but there's a key plan on the left kind of giving an indication of where a few of the numbered photos were taken. So we can kind of see where photo number 1 and photo number 5 were taken. So may I have the next slide, please? And so then these photos again are sort of the same sort of situation where we see how badly rusted the top side of the deck was, with some areas rusting through the deck completely and other areas just having widespread surface rust. So the steel deck replacement rate to date for the green shaded areas, we have approximately 3,448 square feet when measured on the slope. BOK has already received a change order number 5, which has been approved back in the fall for $300,000. And the unit price for the steel deck replacement was $11.82 per square foot. I think when we initially, set this, we figured, oh, well, we'll have, a few parts here and there. We did not expect to find anywhere near this amount of deck replacement and figured that the $300,000 would be enough to get through the entire project. However, as they kept going and finding more and more areas, they ended up having to replace about 90% of the deck. That $300,000 only covers about 76% of the deck in the areas that have been replaced so far, monetary wise. So the change order request for $413,700 equates to, it works out to about 35,000 square feet additional deck replacement. So this covers about 4,700 square feet that BOK has already completed, in addition to about a 90% replacement rate at the area yet to be completed. So that was what we had proposed for change order number 8. I'm doing these in reverse order because I figure the steel deck replacement being the biggest one is is the big gorilla in the room. So I wanted to start there and then work our way down. And I'd already prepared the change orders. So this is just the order that I had already prepared them in, but I'm presenting them in reverse order of numbering. So now we go to change order number 7. Change order number 7 is at an area where we have vented nail base. Boak has already re-roofed this area, but in order to maintain the 50-year Owens Corning warranty, we need proper venting. While removing the upper roofing systems in this area, Boak noticed that there was no way for the air to get from the eaves into what we call the vented nail base. Could I have the next slide, please? So here's our details that are coming from the original construction documents. So we see the gutter there, and at the bottom we've got an area that does have a small amount of vented soffit. However, we see that in that area where the yellow highlight is in the left-hand photo, there's a piece of metal which closes off the ability for air to get up to the underside of the shingles. So what Boak is proposing is to add Owens Corning inflow vent at the eaves, which will allow air in to the space that is underneath the shingles and maintain that proper ventilation, which is required for that 50-year warranty. So that's sort of what that amount of money covers.
Okay.
And then finally, our change order number 6 proposal for $8,662 is just a matter of the original construction documents indicated that the particular area highlighted in blue on this particular drawing. Our understanding is that this was an attic type construction from the original construction documents, but when Boak opened it up, they found that this was also some of that vented nail-based construction. And so the types of materials that went into replacing it are a little bit different. And so they needed some additional wood nailing strips and rigid insulation that was not accounted for when we believed that this was an attic space. But those items were not part of that type of construction. So that's where that's what's triggering this change order. May I have the next slide? So in summary, change order number 6 for additional rigid insulation and nailers at that one particular roof area is $8,662. Proposed change order number 7 to add the Owens Corning inflow vents at the areas where we have the vented nail base is $30,372. And then proposed change order number 8 is for $413,700 for replacement of steel deck for the remainder of the project. So that concludes the presentation. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to, between Todd Fabian from Boak and we will address your questions.
Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, Todd Fabian is from Boak & Sons, has been, you'll see on your screen there also, from the roofing contractor, who has been with us since day one on this also. Steve and I thought that it was kind of appropriate to kind of give everybody an update as to where we were in the project, and then why things were kind of taking as long as they were, number one. And then number two, when we're asking for potential of 457,000 and change, that's, a substantial figure. So we wanted really to bring this out. And so I want to thank Michelle and Boak for kind of combining and working on this presentation. I think the presentation itself really says a lot. So any questions?
I do have one. Mine is more about timeline. So how far back has this set us as far as completion of the project? And I know the weather right now, obviously, is not conducive to doing anything, but what can you give us a projection as to when you think it'll be completed?
Todd, would you like to respond on that?
Yeah, I can respond to that. So yeah, we're waiting for the weather to break. Obviously, it would be very hard to do any of the work at this point in time. Realistic, I'm going to tell you that you're probably a timeline of 6 to 8 weeks once we start working
Okay.
to full completion. That is taken into consideration at this point that the problems that we're thinking are there, and the roof decking that's going to be replaced is all going to have to be done. So yeah, month and a half, 2 months is going to be probably the peak of what that is, barring any bad weather, rain delays or anything such as that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
I have a question. Patty, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
My question is concerning the warranty, the 50-year warranty. What does that cover?
So the platinum warranty is 100% coverage on that roof. So basically, once this project is complete, we certify the project with a manufacturer. The manufacturer stands behind Boak & Sons work and the product that they sold us for the job. So we're taking every measure to make sure that everything is completed to what they want done.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I have 2 questions. The first is the area identified in change order 8. Originally, we weren't thinking we had to replace any of that steel decking until what we've uncovered previously, correct?
Correct. We knew that we probably would have some limited, we expected to find some limited, we figured maybe, 100 square feet, nothing on this scale.
Yeah.
Because
underneath looks really good.
underneath looks great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. You would never know.
And it looks like after this project is done, basically we'll have gone over all of the shingle portion of the roof for Willard. That is correct.
Mhm.
Okay.
Correct.
And so, long story short, we're going to replace 90 or more % of the steel decking under all of the shingle portion of the roof.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Michelle, thank you. I've never seen a change order with a credit from an architect. I was astounded.
Yeah, Michelle, thank you. It was the presentation.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I
Thank you.
and going through our other, the initial building project and looking at a lot of different, reports and presentations, this one was done very well. Thank you so much.
And just from a layman's point of view, you look at all the photographs from underneath. It's not only does it look good, it looks pristine.
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
There's several slides where it's unsound because there are holes through it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as John brings a good point. I actually had Boak up in the attic space, and Todd, I don't think you were there. It was Chris White, because I was concerned about the roof shingles at the top. It was March 12th. I'll always remember March 12th because it led to March 13th. And Chris White said to me at that time, I said, "What do you think? Is the roof going to be okay?" And Chris White said to me, he goes, "I would love to sell you another roof, but everything from underneath looks like it's in pretty good shape. So I think we're okay."
Wow.
Yeah. Well, Michelle's use of the word shiny was very appropriate.
Yeah, it was.
Because underneath was very shiny,
Yeah.
but not on top.
If I could step in for a minute there, we definitely didn't expect to get into what we've got into there. It just seeing all the photographs and all the documentation we had from the get-go, We definitely thought that, we were going to go in there and roll right through this job. And as we all know at this point, we broke into the first slope of the roof, and we were very surprised as we started tearing that steel off the roof, and we started seeing all the rust on the top side, the perforation and stuff. And it was that obvious when we would flip the panel over. It was shiny on the back side. Once it was exposed to daylight, you could actually see the perforation from one side of the panel. So it was a big surprise at that.
Okay. Well, thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions?
No, it's just the custodians have been cleaning up after this for 12 years.
Yeah, right. Well, thank you both very much for your report. John, thank you for getting everything together and bringing it to the board and keeping us updated. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
John.
In the words you're waiting for, that concludes the superintendent's report for this evening.
Yes, that's what I was waiting for. Did you see me pause? I just paused for a minute.
It wouldn't be a superintendent's report without that glorious ending.
It wouldn't. It wouldn't. We appreciate it. All right, so let's move on to agenda item number 8, which are our Board of Education committee reports. Under athletics, Julian and I just attended an athletic council meeting that took place right before this meeting, actually. So we have been busy, and I do have just a couple names to announce to everybody. Let me pull them up here on my phone. So regarding our winter sports update, we had 2 individuals qualify for the swimming district qualifiers, and that was Sydney Luco and Connor Leque. Our girls bowling team district qualifiers, Michaela Dorsey, Abby Frazzini, Haley Meisel, Marissa Steer, Isabella Brandt, Michaelin Todd, and Coach Michelle Schuler leading them. Our boys bowling individual qualifier was Braylon Schuler. And our girls and boys basketball teams will be starting their sectional play. This Saturday are the girls, and the boys are next Saturday. So congratulations to those individuals. And we are looking forward to seeing what else they can do as the time, as the seasons start again next year, those that will be rejoining us. In addition to, I might as well mention, we did talk about dedicating the new tennis courts and the new softball field. And that'll happen. Let me make sure I got my dates right here. Okay, so the first softball game is on March 27th. It's a Saturday. And then the first tennis match is on March 31st. So we'll probably want the board members to be present, but I did express to the athletic council that I would hope that we could really highlight the students. That's what it's all about. And so I think they're going to work on something with recognizing the seniors and having them as a part of that. So that's all I had for athletics. Julian, was there anything else?
No, I think you covered it all.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let's move on then to finance advisory. I know we don't have anything scheduled yet. Hopefully as we move, more people are vaccinated and we can get back into, having real meetings that we can get something together. So it's there. It's on the back burner. So we'll get there. Item C, board policies and guidelines. Regina and Julian.
I don't have anything, nothing for me.
Okay. Under legislative, I don't have anything. Regina, do you have anything?
No, I do not.
Okay. And I did not have anything from Mr. Faulkner. I anticipate another report by him for our March meeting. Okay.
Okay.
Under old business, anything? All right. Anything under new business? Okay, we'll move on to the agenda items, and we will go to the superintendent's recommendations on page 4, item 1. Mrs. Shannon, please.
Superintendent's recommendations, agreements, contracts, and/or leases. It is recommended that the resolution listed below entering into agreements, contracts, and/or leases, A, be approved as submitted.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on this? That was the presentation that we just experienced. Okay, if there aren't any, let's go ahead and call the roll, please.
Mrs. Shannon,
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Mr. Fally,
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos.
Yes, and the motion carries. On page 5, item 2, Mr. Walker, please.
Send motion 02/2021-37 and replace special education annual meeting recognition. It is recommended the resolution listed below recognizing a special education annual meeting for today, Thursday, February 18th, 2021, be approved as submitted.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Go ahead and call the roll, please.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Mr. Fally,
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson,
Yes.
Mrs. Shannon,
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos.
Yes, and the motion carries. Okay, on page 6, item 3, Mr. Fowley, please.
Ohio Department of Education certification for Ohio Teachers Evaluation System and the Ohio Principal Evaluation System. It is recommended the resolution listed below regarding the Ohio Department of Education certification for credentialed Ohio Teachers Evaluation System and Ohio Principals Evaluation Evaluators be approved as submitted.
Do we have a second? Thank you. Any questions? Go ahead and call the roll, please.
Mr. Fally,
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson,
Yes.
Mrs. Shannon,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos.
Yes, and the motion carries. Thank you. All right, on page 7, item 4, Mrs. Patterson, please.
Acceptance of gifts. It is recommended the resolution listed below regarding acceptance of gifts be approved as submitted. Our benefactors are Feed the Children Kids School Basics for Warren City Schools for 500 cloth bags with an estimated value of $2,500. Again, Feed the Children Kids School Basics for Warren City Schools, 500 Sunshine Filling Kits estimated at a value of $1,000. From Grace United Methodist Church for Warren G. Harding High School, gift cards and suckers with an estimated value of $435, and Eleni McNally for Warren G. Harder Raider Pantry, a monetary value of $75. And we want to thank all of those who have donated to Warren City Schools.
Yes, thank you for your support.
Thank you very much. I second.
Thank you, Julian. All right, any questions? Go ahead and call the roll, please.
Mrs. Patterson,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Mrs. Shannon,
Yes.
Mr. Fally,
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos.
Yes, and the motion carries. On page 8, item 5, Mrs. Shannon, please.
Tuition reimbursement. It is recommended that the resolution listed below for tuition reimbursement be approved as submitted.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Go ahead and call the roll, please.
Mrs. Shannon,
Yes.
Mr. Fally,
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos.
Yes, and the motion carries. On page 9, item 6, Mr. Walker, please.
Yes. Personnel recommendations. It is recommended the resolution listed below regarding personnel items A through D be approved as submitted.
I second.
Okay, that takes us to page 11.
Mhm.
Does anyone have any questions regarding any of this? Okay, go ahead and call the roll, please.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson,
Yes.
Mr. Fowley,
Yes.
Mrs. Shannon,
Yes.
and Mrs. Lamperos.
Yes, and the motion carries. On page 12, item 1, Mr. Fowley, please, and if you could please read that in its entirety.
Resolution to employ superintendent. Whereas ORC Section 3319.01 provides for the appointment of a superintendent for a school district, and whereas Steve Shiro has agreed to continue in the position of superintendent for the Board of Education of the Warren City School District, herein referred to as board, in accordance with the terms of a contract of employment effective August 1st, 2022. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board employ Steve Shiro as superintendent and chief executive officer for the term beginning August 1st, 2022 and extending through July 31st, 2027. And be it further resolved that the board president is authorized and directed to execute a contract of employment with Mr. Shiro on behalf of the Warren City School Board District Board of Education, upon such terms and conditions as agreed and as may be required to bring about the legal effect of the terms of this resolution. And be it finally resolved that it is hereby found and determined that all formal actions of this board concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of this board in compliance with all legal requirements, including section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. In witness whereof, the president and the treasurer of the Board of Education of the Warren City School District, having first been duly authorized, and Steve Shiro, superintendent of the Warren City School District, have set their hands hereto this 18th day of February, 2021.
I'll second.
Thank you. And any questions? Okay, let's call the roll.
Mr. Fowley,
Yes.
Mrs. Patterson,
Yes.
Mrs. Shannon,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos.
Yes, and the motion carries. Okay, on page 13, item 2, Mrs. Patterson, please.
The third, should I read it in its entirety or just?
No, this is okay, just to submit it, yeah.
Okay. Okay. The third addendum to the superintendent's employment contract. It is recommended the resolution listed below be approved as submitted.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, any questions about this? Go ahead and call the roll, please.
Mrs. Patterson,
Yes.
Mr. Fowley,
Yes.
Mrs. Shannon,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yeah.
Mrs. Lamperos.
Yes, and the motion carries. And we move over to, okay, well, there should have been one little item there, but I did not receive any communications regarding this meeting, so there's no public communications to be shared. We will have no need for item number 11, executive session. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So
This is
moved.
Liparos.
Yes,
Before you take the vote, can I make a brief comment?
yes, absolutely.
I just want to take a moment to thank the Board of Education for having the confidence in me to lead the district for the next several years. And, you know, this is something that I enjoy doing, and I look forward to working with you, our fabulous administrative team, and making a difference in the lives of children across the city of Warren. So thank all of you for your confidence. I will do everything in my power to do a great job for the children in the city of Warren.
Thank you very much. I think I speak for everyone when I say that we appreciate and value your dedication your educational leadership at the helm of this district, the team that you've built. And we have so much more to accomplish, and we are glad to have you.
Thank you.
And we look forward to working even more with
Yes.
you. Yeah, we do.
As I say, I enjoy coming to work every day. I still love it.
Mhm.
So,
Even in a pandemic, I know.
yeah, just ask some of the folks on this screen. They know how much you do enjoy it. That's great. So thank you. It's one of the greatest gifts you can give me is the ability to be in Warren.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, we appreciate you also. We do.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
I think it was unanimous.
Yeah.
Second.
You can, yeah, there you go.
All right, go ahead and call the roll, please.
Mr. Valley,
Yes.
Mrs. Shannon,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
and Ms. Patterson,
Yes.
Mrs. Lamperos.
Yes, the motion carries. The meeting is adjourned. As always, thank you for joining us this evening. Be safe, be healthy, and we will see you next at our next meeting, which is in March. Have a good night.